Welcome to Science-Based Fitness Reviews. Today we're talking all-in-one functional trainers like what you see behind me here. They're great, but there's a few flaws to them, and that's what we're going to discuss today so you can be better informed when making a purchase on these. And let's jump right into number one. Now, I'm someone who's very specific about my type of training I do. I like to do supersets, and for someone who's not familiar with supersets, it's typically where you do two exercises right back to each other. Now, there's a few ways you can do this. The way I prefer is an upper or lower split, where maybe I do an upper body exercise and lower body, pretty self-explanatory. Well, the other version's agonist and antagonist. So for example, if I'm doing like a chest press, I then would go to like a row right after. So while the back is working, the chest is recovering. And research on this topic shows this to be a pretty successful way to experience hypertrophy and to save time in the gym. But you can see where I'm going with this. When I'm doing something like a bench press here, in order for me to then go to a row and utilize this the way it's meant to be, I then have to remove the J-hook, the spotter safety arm, and move the trolley all the way to the bottom. Not the end of the world, of course, but when you're in a gym, you can jump from one machine to the next, unless it's too busy. But that's definitely a flaw. Sometimes you have to think more intelligently if you're going to train that way specifically. So you just saw me doing triceps, and then I might go into like an external rotation to target the rear delts. This is just something you have to be aware of, is the setup from movement to movement can be time consuming in some cases depending on what you're doing. Here you can see me doing a single arm lat pull down, and I really like this exercise for isolating that lat muscle. But there's a specific reason I'm doing a single arm movement here. When you use some of these cable machines, they use a 2-to-1 ratio. If you're doing just a standard pull down with both hands, you can max this weight stack out fairly easily. And that's where these weight extender pins come in handy, and you'll have to load additional plates on these. Now, a lot of these companies will use these 2-to-1 ratios, but some have a 1-to-1 ratio, which is great because it eliminates that issue with the weight stack not being enough sometimes. But you still have to look out then for another problem, which is cable travel. Sometimes that cable doesn't go far enough to do a movement that you need to do, like a single arm lat pull down or even like a rear delt fly, which I love doing. But some machines have gotten really creative. I know the Major Fitness B17 has this, where there's a standard 2-to-1 ratio, and then you can clip both of these carabiners together and get a 1-to-1 ratio. That kind of solves both of these problems, but of course a bigger price tag comes with that. One of the next major flaws comes down to the safety components. Now, this rack here works perfectly fine and is a safe rack, but there's a couple things to look out for when buying cheaper options. When doing a bench press on this rack, this safety rail is set up so that if I can't lift the weight off, I can kind of relax my chest and this rail will catch the bar, leading to me being totally fine. But let me show you one of my old racks I used to use. This here is a rack that worked well for when I used it, but you can see my safety rails are non-existent. They came with little tiny ones that came out to like this far. So you basically had to do like a guillotine press where you're benching right over top of your neck, which why would that make this any safer? Now, still in the safety vein, cheaper racks will have larger hole spacings. When you do things like a bench press or a squat, that might mean that it might not be perfect for the way you line up. For example, if you go to re-rack a bar on a squat, you want to make sure it's at the right height or else you're fumbling around, worsening the risk of injuries. Same thing with a bench press when re-racking. The more expensive racks, like something I have here, have 1-inch hole spacings so you can have a more fine-tuned adjustment. Cheaper options don't prioritize safety, and I don't think I have to explain on why that would be a problem. Let me pause this video real quick and say, if you guys are enjoying this video, hit that like button so this video can get pushed out to more people. This is a fairly new channel, trying to bring value to the community. And I know I'm talking a lot of smack about racks, and I have one, and they really are awesome. If you guys do enjoy this, let me know in the comments, and I'll make a new video talking about all the benefits to having a rack like this. So I got my first rack. It was the Major Fitness B52. It was awesome. And then they came out with adjustable weight stacks, so then I got that. And then they came out with the Major Fitness B52 Pro, and that's what I have here. And then they came out with the B17, which is a totally different rack, and it doesn't make the rack I have any less effective. But it's like technology. When a new phone comes out, people always want that new piece of technology. And I think sometimes you just want that next new shiny toy. And that leads into the next one, that this can become addicting. Now, one of the last issues is when you buy a rack like this, you start building to the home gym. And I think it's a very similar comparison to like getting your first tattoo. After you get one, you kind of want a second one, then you want a third one. And then next thing you know, you got a sleeve with some of your favorite band's album covers. So I guess it might become a little bit addicting, but at least it's a healthy addiction to some degree. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know what I missed. And if you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like, consider subscribing. We're trying to grow this channel here and create a community that can help each other build better home gyms. My name's Adam, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day.